welcome to the channel. Now then, on today's video we're going to be looking at this. It's an Airfix 1-72 Supermarine Spitfire Mk1a. Now it's a nice quiet Sunday here in the UK, and I thought what better way to while away a gentle Sunday than crack one of these little models open and see if we can't complete it in one day. It's very relaxing. No stress, everything's included in the box: paints, glue, brush, model, etc., instructions. And recently I've really grown to appreciate these little starter sets because, like I say, it's totally stress free. Everything's in the box, you just get on with it and make the model. Anyway, let's crack the box open and see what we get inside. Now before we do, let's have a quick look at the aircraft that we'll be making. This particular version is a Mk1a, so it's an early version, flown from Biggin Hill in July 1940, so probably might have featured in the Battle of Britain. And this Mk1a will go nice with the ME109 that we built not so long back. Now I live in Stoke-on-Trent. I'm not a native, but I live in Stoke-on-Trent, and the designer of the Spitfire, Sir Reginald Mitchell, was actually born in Normacott in Stoke-on-Trent. So there's a little factoid for you. Unfortunately, he passed away before he ever got to see what his creation actually did for this country. So a bit of a shame that, but never mind. Anyway, let's crack the box open and see what we get inside. Right, then in the box we get a set of decals for the aircraft. We get a set of paints and a tube of poly cement. We get a set of instructions, and these are a lot better than the instructions you used to get with Airfix kits. We have a number 2 Humbrol paintbrush. These are actually pretty good, actually. And we actually have the kit itself. Now, just looking at it through the bag, it looks pretty crisply moulded. I can't see much in the way of flash, but we'll find out when we take it out. But I don't know what these are. I mean, these Airfix kits are a lot better than I remember. And when I was a kid, the Airfix kits that I grew up with, were just, some of them were absolutely shocking. But these new sort of starter sets seem to be absolutely brilliant. Anyway, we're going to get this out of the bag, wash it, because that's very important. We wash the sprues before we paint them, especially with these acrylic paints because they're water based, because normally there's some releasing agent on here and it can make the paint go funny. So we're going to take it out of the bag, wash it, and then make a start. Right, then I've quickly washed the sprues off in some warm soapy water. Like I say, it just helps get rid of any of that releasing agent. Now this is very nostalgic for me because I don't think I've made a model of a Spitfire since I was at school, but I just think it was one of those things that people of my generation and previous generations used to do. I think everybody over a certain age has made a model of a Spitfire at some point in their life. But anyway, I'm going to start painting this thing now. With these acrylic paints, speed is the key, I think, sometimes, because they do dry very quickly, and also keeping the paint moist as well. Don't be afraid to add a little bit of water in it. Just helps the paint go on so much easier, because it, like I say, it does dry very, very quickly. Anyway, let's put the first coat of paint on. Yeah, there seems to be quite a lot of that agent, unfortunately, on this. It's pooling slightly, isn't it? Okay, then I've pretty much got 2 decent coats of paint on everything. It might require a third, I don't know, I'll have to see. Initially, when I first applied sort of the brown and the sort of duck egg blue, these paints are like water. I mean, normally they're sort of thick-ish, these acrylic paints, but these are just like water. They didn't go on initially very nice, but the second coat is pretty much, you know, a solid flat colour, which I'm dead chuffed about. I had the complete opposite problem with the green and the black. These are like jelly in the bottom. I've had to add loads and loads of water to get them to apply correctly to the parts. But again, it doesn't seem to have done too bad a job. I might, like I say, toying with the idea of putting a third coat on, but as soon as I've done that, we can actually start making the cockpit and the prop. Right, I've applied a third coat of paint to all the parts, and it's actually turned out pretty flat and solid, so I'm happy with that. So we're going to move on now to actually starting to put this thing together. And I'm going to start with the cockpit internals. There's only 5 parts to it. There is a pilot. I'm not going to include the pilot because I haven't got the correct flesh tones for his face and the correct tones for his suit either, so I'm going to omit the pilot and just concentrate on the cockpit. I'm also going to use a little bit of silver from the last model, and we're going to just dry brush that over portions of the cockpit just to give it a weathered, you know, chipped feel to it, just to make everything stand out. There is a transfer to be applied as well, which we're going to do. So I'm going to carry on and construct the cockpit. Okay, I've actually constructed the cockpit, put it all together. Dry brushed a bit of silver on. It was a bit of a pain in the backside, this thing was. It's quite fiddling. It didn't really go together that well, so I'll eat these instructions if this fits in the two halves of the fuselage all right. I don't know if you can tell off the camera. I don't know if it'll focus at all. But it sort of looks like that in the end. It's quite a nice detailed little interior, actually. I've also put the oxygen tanks on the inside of the left-hand fuselage half, and I've just dry brushed a bit of silver on the inside just to bring some of those details out. Also, the prop, I've put the prop together because you put the interior in and the two halves of the fuselage together and the prop at the same time. So now I'm going to try and fit all this lot together. Like I say, if this interior goes in without an issue, I'll literally eat these instructions because it never ever does. But anyway, let's give it a go. Right, I've put the cockpit in. It wasn't as bad as I first envisaged, I must admit. So I did have to do a little bit of sanding and whatnot to get it to fit, so my intestines are safe from the instructions. I put the prop on as well. That fits nicely. Just got to put the two halves together. But the detail inside the cockpit is really good, actually. They've done a nice job, Airfix. But like I say, did have to do a little bit of work to get it to fit, but not as much as I had feared. Okay, so far so good. Glue the two halves of the fuselage together. I have been left with a slight gap towards the front, which is a little bit annoying, but nothing I can't deal with a little bit of paint. I'll probably fill that. Started putting the tail on, just got to put the rudder on. That's pretty much gone on without a hitch. A little bit of sanding and job's good. The wings I'm waiting for them to dry. Glue the two halves together, and then you can see the classic Spitfire elliptical wing there. Like I said, just waiting for the glue to dry, and then we can fit them to the bottom of the fuselage. Also, on that portion of the instructions, we've got to fit the exhaust stubs, and once that's done, we're onto the landing gear and the various vents underneath. Right, it's starting to look like a little Spitfire now. All the landing gear is on, the tail wheel slotted nicely in between the two fuselage halves. The front landing gear did have to file a little bit off the legs to get the model to sit level, but that wasn't too much of an issue. And don't forget, when you are assembling the landing gear, the wheels have got a little bulge at the bottom, obviously where they sit on the ground. Don't forget that. And I've also put the vents and the air intakes on underneath and just painted round just to tidy them up. I think the next step, I've glued the cockpit glass on. That was a bit of a tight fit, but it's gone on. Next step is, I think I'm going to start to paint the green camo and any places that the brown needs touching up. I think we're going to do that. But yeah, starting to look like a little Spitfire now. So anyway, let's crack on with the green and finish the camo. Right, well, I finished the green camo and it's really starting to come alive now. I painted the frame on the canopy as well using a little cocktail stick and my wife's glasses because my close-up eyesight isn't what it used to be. I do find using the cocktail stick it's a bit more accurate than a brush as well. You can sort of get the paint in exactly in the area you want. You're gonna have to excuse my voice at the moment because I've woke up this morning with absolutely stinking cold to top everything off. So if I sound a bit flued up, I am. I have actually put a wash, so very dilute black wash on the panel lines just to bring them out. It's worked a lot better on the underneath of the fuselage than it has on the top. I've also put the aerial and the little pitot tube on the model, so that's all the bits and pieces on it at the moment. Next job is to start putting the decals on. Now, in the kit you don't get... Oh god, and you don't get many decals at all. I know that the P949, the serial number of the aircraft, you have to put that on first and allow that to dry because that large decal there has got to go over the top. Now I know for a fact we're going to get some crazy silvering with these decals, but we are making this model out of the box with nothing else, so we want to see what the results are. But I do know we're going to get some crazy silvering of the decals because obviously when you apply it to sort of matte paint, you always get a bit of silver. Anyway, enough waffle, let's crack on, stick these decals on. Okay, that's most of the decals applied. If you don't like applying decals to aircraft, this is the kit for you because there's only 8. I'm just going to wait till the serial numbers dry before we apply the last lot because they've got to go over the top and I really don't want to disturb these. because if they come loose underneath, that could open a proper can of worms. The decals have gone on okay. The ones on the wingtips, the roundels, not brilliant because they've got to sit over some details on the wing, and they sort of bubble up slightly. But if you perhaps using you weren't using the contents of the box, you could use some decal softener, and that would probably knock that on the head. I've just noticed, however, there's no decals to the underside of the fuselage, so no wonder so many of these aircraft had friendly anti-aircraft fire taking pot shots at them, because we probably couldn't identify them. But yeah, just going to wait till these to dry and then apply the last ones over the top. Okay then, so there you have it, one finished Supermarine Spitfire. I've put the final 2 decals on the side, another couple of washes on just to bring those panel lines out. But the results, you know what, the results, they're not that bad. I have heard some bad things about this little kit, but I'm going to have to say it turned out okay. I mean, I put another wash on the bottom and, like I say, another couple of washes on the top, but I'm fairly happy with that. I know we're going to get some silver in where the decals are, but we've literally built this thing out of the box. And you know what? It's not a bad representation of a little Spitfire, this, and it'll go well with that little Messerschmitt we've got downstairs. So I'm quite happy with this, built out of the box. Anyway, would I recommend the Airfix Supermarine Spitfire Mk1a to you guys? I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, this thing cost me $4.99, so for the money, you just can't go wrong. I mean, it's well worth $4.99 of anybody's money, this thing. And I tell you what, it's turned out okay, this thing has. I mean, like I say, we could have got some decal softener and made the decals a little bit better, and there's various other things. You know, if we were going to town on this thing, you could make a really nice job. But to be honest, I think it's turned out okay. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. I thoroughly enjoyed making this Spitfire. Like I say, I haven't made a Spitfire since I was a kid, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and do you know what? You can't put a price on it. Anyway, if you found this video of some use and interest, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar future content. Once again, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again very, very soon.